Okay, welcome to the show, Richard Walsh. It is a pleasure to have you here with me today on Executive Talk. Welcome. How are you today?
I am outstanding. It's just another beautiful day. I love it.
It's another beautiful day. Happy. It's still time. We can still say Happy New Year, right? It's still within time frame.
Uh, yeah, it's all year. We got all year to say that.
We got all year to say
Yeah.
that. How have you been celebrating the new year so far? Have you done anything exciting? Have you been relaxing and taking it slow?
Now I've been kind of getting into things. I launched my new version of my academy, and we're kind of busy with that, putting together new marketing plans and things like that.
Yeah.
Doing a lot of writing. So yeah, I've been busy. I'm kind of a guy who likes to stay busy, so I don't do a lot of downtime.
Got it. Well, thank you for coming on the show. Exciting to have you here on Executive Talk. Richard Walsh, you are a veteran business owner and best-selling author of Escape the Owner Prison. Tell me a little bit about that. Where did that come from? What does that mean? I'd love to hear a little bit more.
You bet. So Escape the Owner Prison actually came from my first 20 years in business. I had a very, very successful business.
Sure.
On the surface
Okay.
until 0809 hit. And, everything crumbled like with so many others. And it kind of took me out, took my legs out, so to speak,
Oh gosh.
and kind of lost everything, had to start over, so that was a
Okay.
difficult transition. Wife's 6 small children, doing
Okay.
all that. And I started other businesses, got rolling in some new stuff, but then really wanted to understand why was I so great at what I did and had that, that temporary success, that 20-year flash, if you will, if
Yeah.
a flash can be 20 years. And
Sure.
I
Why not?
started looking at it and started to realize what I did wrong. So I realized it was a bunch of little mistakes,
Okay.
little things I ignored or didn't do or didn't put in place that caused that to me not to be recession proof, not to be able to withstand that kind of adversity. So as I developed my other businesses, they grew. I said, what I'm really good at is training people and helping people, whether it's my staff, my
Okay.
crews, whatever. So I said, I'm going to write a book because I love to write. Anyway, so let's write a book about this, and let's write a book about escaping the owner prison, because the whole impetus was I was always chained to my business. As successful as I was,
Right.
I couldn't leave for a month. There'd be no business. I had to open up the door every day. I had to sell the jobs. I had to
Right.
do every aspect of my business. So
There's a lot of pressure when that rides on you like that. There's a lot of pressure. You don't want to take vacation. You don't want to go out for lunch. You always need to feel like you're the one there. I get that.
right, and the problem here, what happens is you actually like it as an entrepreneur. You're actually kind of a workhorse, anyways. Most of us are. So you're kind of like, but then you forget about the wife and kids and everything else. And it's not good. Okay, it's not a
Right.
good thing. You got to know how to tether it. So,
Right.
so I wanted to develop a plan. Like, okay, what I did these things wrong. Let's make it something that's going to be scalable, so you
Sure.
can have massive success, but still have that time to do what I want when I want. That was the
Okay.
key. I wanted to see my kids grow up. I want to be part of who they are, what they are. I didn't want them to grow up thinking, well, all we do is work. I'll do what my dad did. Okay. It's business
Right.
first, business before anything else. And it was a bad strategy. I felt very successful in one sense. And then after everything
Right.
collapsed, you realize the failure that you were becoming or were.
Right. Well, look, there's a lot of stress there when you have a business that is not working for whatever reason, whether it's your fault or not your fault. There's a lot of pressure to get it, to get to a point where you can quote unquote be free, and you're kind of in this like survival mode of, if I don't get my job, if I don't get my business off the ground, if I don't, if I'm not making income, so then like how am I supposed to enjoy everything else that I'm working on, and so that shift into like, well, I'm putting my emphasis in my business, and okay, I'll get to my family because it's really about them, right? What ends up happening is that you end up, really like keeping that full focus on the business, and everything that really matters kind of like gets pushed off to the side by accident, even though really that's what you're doing it for.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. It's always when I make money, when I make
Right.
a certain amount, then I'll be able to do that. Right. And that's, again, one of the little mistakes that you make. because
Right.
you're never going to have enough. You're never going to
No.
make that amount. You're not. No one is structured that way. No one is, got the the index out, and they're okay. This is $12 more today. As soon as I hit $27, I'm gonna be able to
Right.
go to McDonald's or something. No one's doing that, right? So you really got to you have to put it in the forefront. You got to start with that end in mind. That's what I teach. Part of the exit strategy and everything else. You gotta understand where you're going to go with this business from the get go. Not
Yeah.
well, as soon as it starts taking traction, that's the biggest lie you'll tell yourself, and you'll tell yourself that lie for 20 years.
Right.
That's the problem.
No, look, it's so easy to get sucked into that mentality. Look, any entrepreneur will tell you, look, there's something really exciting about passion, about getting your business off the ground and being successful and making an impact, right? Everyone like that, like that's a drug in its own right. That ability to go to do what you got to do. That's amazing. But I was just having this conversation with someone yesterday. If you don't take a moment to stop and reflect on your success and on your milestones, you're never going to let go. You're always going to be stuck in that adrenaline race, to get to that next stage. And before you know it, your kids are in college. They're off to their next part, and and you're just like, well, wait a second. I was doing this for you this whole time. Now, where did you go?
Yeah, that's what it is. You don't realize that. Like me, I always, whatever accomplishment I had, it was instantly forgotten by me. What's
Okay.
next? Okay, I was a really good boxer. Okay, good athlete. Also, I win a trophy and I throw it in a box. Okay, I
Okay.
didn't put them out. I didn't put them out for display. I just like I want another one. I don't have them
Uh,
anymore.
How do you let people know that you won a prize if you don't
Right,
show them?
right. But there's probably deeper issues here, but I'm just saying that all the stuff I've done, like now I have to like promote myself, right? So I'm a champion boxer, a black belt, I'm a U.S. Marine, I'm 30-year business guy, I've won all this stuff,
Right.
it's all good, but I really was always kind of driven for the next thing. It didn't seem to satisfy me at all, and the
Right.
problem was it was never going to satisfy me, right? Because I really
Right.
sunk my identity into my business, and I had to be I'm my business,
Okay.
which is part of the trap.
Right.
You think that without me, this
It's a
doesn't
big trip.
happen. So your ego gets inflated because I was
Right.
great at what I did. I was the best in the country.
Right.
And but then you get the death grip. You can't let go because man, someone's going to strip away part of that
Well,
ego. They're going to
also,
take that.
also, it's hard because as a business owner, right, you're always toting that line of, well, no one's going to be as invested as I am. So if I'm not as invested and I'm not doing this, then it's just not going to get done to that same capacity that I want it to happen, right? And so we kind of also, as you're saying, we kind of get stuck in this trap of it has to be me, right? Because my employees are not going to work as hard as I am, right? They clock out at like 5 p.m. or 6 p.m., right? They're done, right? So if it's not me, then it's not going to happen. And that's like on one hand, like I get that, but on the other hand, there, as exactly what you talk about is that's very, very tricky. And and if you don't set boundaries for yourself about what can do and not do, when you could wait until tomorrow, for things along those lines, because like you could very easily get stuck in that trap, and then what I mean, and that success, right, then just becomes burnout, becomes fatigue, and you kind of like miss out on things for yourself also, let alone on for your business. Your business will suffer if in those regards.
Yeah, so there really isn't a lot of upsides to that attitude. Plus, I'm I'm a pretty competitive individual. So like you're saying, like I work harder than everyone else. Well, that was a daily thing. I'm going to
Right.
show you that I work harder than you because I do,
Right.
and I will not be beat. Right.
Right.
But again, like you said, you get tied and you don't delegate because they can't do it as good as I do. And
Right.
then you realize I had a couple nice epiphanies that, if my guys can do the job 90% as well as I do it, no
Right.
one will know the difference.
Correct.
And you think they will, and they won't. Only another guy, maybe in the same industry, another
Right.
high level craftsman, will pick out little things. So my
Right.
attitude is always, I do this for my peers. I'm
Right.
getting judged by my peers. I don't, but I realize that my peers aren't giving me money. Okay, they're
Right.
not paying me. Okay, the
Right.
homeowners, the people where they're paying me. They happy? Okay, they happy. My guys do it good. They happy when we
Yeah.
do it good. They're equally as happy.
Yeah.
So that's when I started to learn to let go.
No, 100%. Look, the sign of a good boss, right, is someone who, or sorry, the sign of a good leader, okay, is someone who has the ability to say, someone else could handle this project. Someone else can do this. It might not be as good as as I would do it by myself, but if I have to be the person, you're just going to bottleneck your own success. And so the sign of a strong, confident leader, in my opinion, is a person who knows how to say, that's okay, do it, I trust you, we'll do this together, but like, you got this, and let's maximize that success opportunity by sharing that responsibility.
Yeah, the strong point to that is it'll be better. It'll
Yeah.
actually be better. You think like you can do everything, you really can't. Okay.
Right.
And you do it, but are you really a great accountant? And a great, craftsman, and a
Sure.
great, and a great salesman, and a great,
Right.
bring in the best.
Yeah.
You can find talent that's easily better than you, bring them in,
Right.
support them, build a team that way, and watch
Right.
your business grow, scale, watch you be able to connect with friends and family again.
100%.
Watch you have that free time, right? And like, wow, I really built something that's going to actually live past me, right? I
Right.
can build something with longevity because I built systems and processes. And if I'm not, I want to go away for 2 or 3 months, come back, and we're still profitable or more
Yeah.
profitable. That's the goal.
I once had a conversation with a really successful CEO of a company, and he did great things. And I asked him, I said, "So tell me something. Right? You're so involved. You do everything. What's your sustainability model for when you step down?" And he goes, "What do you mean? When I step down, the company's closed." I was like, "But aren't you fighting for something so much more than this?" He goes, "Yeah, but I'm the best, and once I'm done, then like no one could fill in my feet, my shoes, and so I'm going to shut down the company once I'm done." And I was like, something about that conversation struck me so hard, and I was like, if you're looking to build sustainability and growth, you have to be able to step beyond your own feet and be able to start bringing other people into that process. Because if you're not going to bring other people into your process, you're just going to get stuck in that cycle, and you will never grow. You will bottleneck your own success again and again and again. And then to what benefit are you actually doing this for?
Right. Like, what if Henry Ford had that attitude? Well,
Yeah.
I got these great assembly lines all good. Well, I'm kind of beat. I'm going to call it quits. Well, shut everything down. You know what I'm saying? It's like, look what they built. Look at all these guys built these,
Yeah.
the Colgates and the whatever, all these, the Johnson and Johnsons. I mean, built these companies that are lasting 100, 150 years and things, and
Yeah.
that's it. Plus, you'd have to almost question with that individual, like, is there really passion in what you do, or is this a thing?
Or
Okay,
ego. Is
yeah,
it full ego?
right. It's about real estate. I've got,
Right.
7 plants. I've got this. I've got 150 trucks. I got this. I'm all this.
Sure.
Yeah, then I'll just be done. So I did all that, but I'm not going to let anyone else take it any further.
Right.
That's
I
ego,
clocked
right?
in, and now I'm ready to clock out. All right,
Yeah,
guys.
and
That was
no one else can
fantastic.
beat me.
Have a great day.
Right. I'm going to retire on top. I'm the best. No one gets to beat me. I'm never getting in the ring again. Right. I'm
Yeah.
I'm the undisputed heavyweight champion who's never going to throw another punch. You'll never know if you can beat me. Okay. So that's that attitude.
I totally hear you. So tell me, what was it like? You went from a very hands-on career. You had a roofing career, a fitness career, right? And then
Mhm.
you transitioned from that into this book, and into coaching and mentorship, and helping people, entrepreneurs and business owners, move into that next stage of their business success, right? And you became a valuable component of helping people gain and achieve success, right, for their own. What was it like to build that business, that new business, to rebrand yourself, and to build it?
It's really interesting because it's an online business. Okay. So
Okay.
you're going from the brick and mortar world to the online world.
Okay.
Okay. And as I always tell people, I'm an odd individual as it is, so like the online world, I had to kind of grasp, I kind of got the concept, but
Okay.
like, I'm like, you don't get to do anything, kind of, you got to type. That's what you get to do. And I'm like, okay, well, so it took some adjustment. Believe me, it took a lot of adjustment. But I'm like, well, I teach, I write, I've got okay. Then I had to take these piles of information and content I made. How do I put it into a teachable format and structure it. And that's why I wrote the book. And now, okay, now I can
Right.
take that and I can create this academy. And now I can get them in and I can show them how to scale. And it took a lot of work. Again,
Okay.
I'm a little obsessive when I do things. I'm an all or nothing guy. If anyone knows me, they know that's I'm understating it. Okay. But so I'll
Yeah.
stay at the kitchen counter. I wrote the book. I stood at my kitchen counter for 12 hours a day for about 3-4 weeks. And I wrote the
Okay.
book, and then I spent even more time trying to figure out a title. I got that. Now the real work had to begin. Okay. Oh, no problem. Bestseller, 10 categories. It's all great. That's really cool. But now what? Now I just have a book.
Okay.
Okay. So now I got to reach out. How do I, build the friends list, start to, get in contact with guys in the trades and service industry. How do I do all this? How do I create that niche? And how do I
Right.
excel in there and become the full, the true authority? So that was the struggle, right? Because I'm not a marketer. Okay.
Right.
I can teach some marketing and I get marketers and I bring marketers in. Again, I delegate that really easy. Okay. Because I
You're
can
a
write.
great leader when it comes to that. Delegate out.
I'm
Go.
telling you, I use both fingers. Okay. But
Yeah.
I had to learn that, I can write really good copy, but I can't write good hooks.
Okay.
Right. So my subject lines stink, but my copy's really good. Right.
Okay.
So I understand that I had these issues. And so I had to figure this stuff out. What's working, what's not, who my ideal client is. I mean, you really had to go in deep on this stuff, even though that's what I teach in the brick and mortar businesses as well. I had to do the same thing. So that was the biggest challenge, Aaron. It really was.
Gotcha. What were some of the highlights or are the highlights of building this business for you? Like, where are the parts that you really enjoy that really got you feeling like I'm feeling successful? I'm feeling great.
It's actually like I enjoyed like building the stuff because I kind of overthink things, so I do a lot of extra work. But I enjoyed building it. But then it's the actual coaching.
Okay.
When I'm helping guys and I'm seeing them, like it clicks, light bulbs go off, they start implementing, and big things change in their business.
Yep.
That's what it's all about to me. I mean, that's the most rewarding thing. All the other stuff is anyone can do a keynote presentation and put things in video, and you got a million people can do that. But when you can connect and you can show people the way, if they've been
Right.
trapped in it for 3 or 5 years or 10 years or whatever it is, and all of a sudden they start getting freedom and success at the same time, there's
Right.
nothing better than that. That gives me true joy.
I love that. I love that so much. What about some of the hardships of trying to build your business? Like, what were some of the challenges that you had to face in order to be able to help find your success?
Well, first is the absence of income.
Okay.
Okay, because if you ever been in the business building process,
Always
like
challenging.
when I met my wife, I was like very successful, right? So she had never been through the business building process. Okay, so when things changed and it was a challenge. Let's say we're still married, our kids are growing, everything's happy, it's all good. But you better have the right woman. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah.
You got to go through these steps. But one of the challenges was that, of course, and then like really understanding my mission.
Okay.
What am I really doing with this? Am I going to coach a couple people? Am I going to do one-on-one? Am I going to do semi-private? Am I going to do, what am I going to do? And that was a challenge to figure out. I had to do both. I had to figure out what I liked and what I didn't like, how I could leverage myself. See, because the challenge there came to like, how do you leverage yourself when you're one person?
Right. That's a great question. That is a hard challenge. You are absolutely correct.
And it took a year-ish to figure that out.
Right.
And then I made the move. I made the move from one-on-one coaching to semi-private.
Got it.
Okay.
So what is your goal? In other words, so like, what's your end game here of like, at what point do you feel like you've made it? You know what I mean?
When I have helped 10,000 business owners escape the owner prison.
Okay.
That's my 10-year ultimate goal. I mean, guys who truly go through my process, get in my academy, go through it. And there's no number, right? Like success to you and me and him and her are all different things. And it's not always based on money by any means. Right. But that true escaping the owner prison when they have the freedom, living a life, maybe they make, they're taking in 200,000 a year income and they're completely content. Some people just want 100,000 a year. Some people want 10 million. Whatever their numbers is irrelevant, but can they do it and keep all the relationships intact? Can they have that freedom that they can build something, that they're proud of, that can operate on itself? So if they can follow the ETOP principles, that's a success. And 10,000 is a pretty good number. I kind of did all the measuring. I'm like, that's a chance. So I got, okay, this year I'll be here and I got to accelerate. Now we're going to do this.
Right.
So But as they say, Aaron, no battle plan survives the first shot.
I totally hear
Just,
that. Look,
yeah.
there's a great quote. Guy Kawasaki has a great quote where he says, "If you don't look back on your first product that you provide and you're not embarrassed by it, you're doing something wrong." And like I get that. Look, business and entrepreneurship is a process. It's a growth process, and if you should never be stagnant in that, in that growth, right? You're always working for, if you're in it because you believe in it or you're passionate about what you're trying to do, right? There's always room for improvement, right? But don't forget that in order to find that level of improvement, you have to, you still have to be able to stop and reflect and look back and make sure that, and assess your success and your failure in order to be able to, repivot in the direction that you're going in. But business and entrepreneurship is a constant battle of growth.
Right.
Constant.
I think the point you're making there too, another thing I want to remind people, you also have to start. Okay. Because
Correct.
a lot of people got an idea, they don't start, and you need to make that crappy product.
Correct.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Because
Look,
everything that we get, everything we have is new and improved, right? But you don't get to jump to the new improved. You have to have the clunky model, right?
true.
And it functions and people get the idea. Then you start fine tuning it. And that's what I've had to do. My first academy program
Yeah.
is in the trash.
Right.
Okay. Work, did some people's all good, but I have to constantly innovate. I
Yeah.
mean, it's different for everyone and what that actually means, but I'm
Yeah.
always looking to improve and not improve too early either. There's a
Right.
balance. You got to be careful.
Well, look, how do you have a 2.0 if there's no 1.0? It's like you can't have 2.0 in your title if there was nothing before it, you
Right.
know?
So I tell people, you don't overthink it. Ignorance on
Yeah.
fire is going to get you a lot further than anything else.
Yeah.
It's
Look,
just get rolling.
yeah, 100%. I fight a lot with a lot of my clients who, look, sorry, let me take a step back, right? Because there is a sense of feeling pride and feeling great about what you produce. I want to produce something that's great. I want to put something out there that I could stamp my name to it and, and be super proud of that. And you should, right? You should always be proud of your work and your process, 100%. But I fight with clients all the time in industries across the board that are not ready or don't want to put out a product, don't want to put out a presentation, don't want to put anything out because it's not quote unquote perfect, right?
Yeah.
It's not perfect. And so they won't put it out. And I tell them, I said, if you wait for that moment to be perfect, you will never put this thing out. You won't. If you're always waiting for every single thing to be absolutely perfect, you're never going to get there. And you're going to be so far behind the game. Number one, there's always going to be something that you're going to want to change and fine tune. Always. And you should. That's part of the process, right? If nothing is perfect forever, right? And so actually, it's funny. I had a conversation with someone once about the belt, right? The belt that we wear today is the same style belt that they had 1,000 years ago, right? It's never changed, Maybe the belt is perfect, but
Right. Right. Yeah. Maybe, well, you got all the different buckles. You got all the different buckles, the ratchet. You got the ratchet buckle now. You got all that stuff. So there's improvements. And there's also 12 different iPhones.
Correct.
But it's important. And also, one thing, real quick, is just every improvement is sellable.
Correct.
Okay, so you got to think like they didn't come out with 12 because they never wanted to sell another different phone.
Correct.
Every year they get to bump that price up double again, sell it all over, and it's a sales cycle.
Absolutely.
Innovation is part of a sales cycle. You got to think about it that way.
100% it is. But I tell these people, I said, if you wait for this thing to be perfect, it's never going to go to market, and then you're just going to miss out on that opportunity. So we need to create a benchmark that is okay. This is good. We can start with this, right, and put it out and feel good with that, right, and then once that's out, now let's learn from that and see where we can improve and grow and continue that sales cycle or that brand growth, right, from stage to stage as we continue. But exactly right, as you said, if you don't just start, you're always going to be behind. Always.
Aaron, in the online world, you call it a beta program.
Sure.
You literally can like help me test my new product.
Call it
I
whatever you
want your
want.
feedback. I want your feedback. People are like, oh man,
Yeah.
I'm new. Get new adapters. I get in first. I actually put some input. I get to feel part of the development of this new thing. I think it's really
Right.
cool. And then you actually take that feedback and you let your customers make your product better.
Right.
It's such
Yeah.
a win-win. It's such a win-win. That's
100%.
that's why you got to change the mindset. You got to think like, wow, let's involve my customers, because those are
Right.
the great companies have done that. They
Right.
brought in their
100.
customers like, man, what do get the guy Schultz from Starbucks, man, the guy used to go sit and have coffee with people.
Right.
He
I
just
love it.
pop in and sit down and find out what's what, and that's kind of how he developed, the model, so to speak.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. And people who have their eye on the pulse like that and their finger on the pulse like that really are the ones who understand success, because the ultimate success of a brand and an entrepreneur who represents a brand, it really comes down to how well do you understand your target audience? How well are you investing in them as people and individuals, not looking at them as a market, not looking at them as as a consumer source. But the more that brands look at their audiences as people and respond and react to them as people, you know what I mean? And create content for them as people and create solutions for them as people, the more that brand is going to be successful, right?
You Yeah,
So much more than anyone that's just shouting out loud about something, why we're so great, we're so great, we're so great. Honestly, nobody cares why you're so great. They want
right.
to know how it's helpful for them. And the more that you can pivot your brand story, your brand message to to your people, and so that they could understand how they fit into your brand, the more that everyone, but the more that your brand is going to find that success and scalable success in a positive way.
An interesting example is that is Dollar Shave Club. You're familiar
Sure.
with that? What it
Love
was, what it still
Yeah.
is. I get it. I use it. I bought it because of the first video he put out. Right. I'm like, that's an entrepreneur, man. That dude, whatever you want, I'm sending money. Right. That's the
Right.
best video I've ever seen. He did it on Facebook. Started, but here's the genius. 4 years now, he created the club. Right.
Right.
Totally different. Like it's the club, and he had little donation, the little newsletter thing you get with every shipment and whatever, and really cool. But he created a club. Not just a product.
Right.
Well, 4 years after that, Unilever buys them for $1 billion.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. There's not many people doing a 4-year business and getting $1 billion. Okay, cashing out. So I mean, there's a guy who but just I love from the beginning of what he did. He was into it.
Yeah.
He
100%.
found it. He found the niche, and he found that perfect spot. And again, he walked away. $1 billion. Unilever took over. There
Right.
they go. I think everyone's happy. I get my shipments, and I can shave this bald head every day, and it's all good. I'm great. I got the Dr. Carver's Easy Shave Butter. I got everything. That's a good thing.
That's fabulous. So you said before that your goal is to help 10,000 businesses find success, right? Now I'm a person of process, right? Of understanding and process. So I'd love to hear a little bit about what process are you taking in order to make sure that you hit that goal of 10,000 businesses? Like, what are you doing in order to, I guess, to grow your business, but in order to hit your milestones to reach your success?
So what I'm doing, I obviously have to have metrics, right? You can't improve anything that isn't measured. You have to track it.
Hmm.
So I do that through academy members, right? That's my
Okay.
biggest metric. So who's coming in my academy? Who's completing the academy? If there's like a 12-step process kind of thing you go through, and all kinds of additional stuff. So I'm actually built certificate, and you graduate and you do this, and they have certain milestones they have to hit. Right. I mean, it's not like you got to do a 4-year degree or something. I mean, it's a 16-week course, but as they go through it, and they can stay in the club as well. I kind
Right.
of had that club mentality as well in the tribe. You kind of have that. So my process is I understand, the startup, right? It's slow. It's slow to no. Okay.
Right.
Or no to slow. Hopefully goes no to slow and not slow to no. But you're
Right.
pretty much in that one. But there's going to be a time where, as the marketing starts to kick, the testimonials start to build, then I start doubling down, right? So I have a whole, as I hit each metric, I'm then turning on the gas. You add more fuel
Right.
to the fire so that I
Uh-huh.
can start to, double. Okay, and this year we hit 1,000. From 1,000, we're going to jump to 3,000. From
Okay.
3,000, we're going to hit 7,500. So we're going to keep moving up the ladder. So at that 10-year point, we've hit 10,000 plus.
Got it.
I'm hoping to get over that, but that's part of what I call my 5%, right? So as a business owner, as we delegate the other stuff, I'm very focused on that number,
Okay.
right? Because that's my mission.
Right.
And I'm the guy who's going to drive that vision.
Sure.
Right. So I have to keep a very close eye on that, where these numbers are, what's happening, how do we, what you do as anything, you look back, how we get to this number. Okay,
Right.
this worked, that didn't work. The thing that worked, let's double down. Are we
Sure.
going to get double the return? And then we see how we can make that process continue and keep either rinse and repeat, or start
Right.
adding new elements and new aspects of the business.
Right. What pieces are you doing in order to help hit those goals? Like how are you keeping people engaged with you? Are you setting up email lists? Are you setting up groups? Are you, specializing particular communication channels for you guys? Are you, marketing into the following places? How are you helping yourself, get to that, as opposed to just saying, yeah, we want that number. That'll be a great
Mhm.
number to have. But here are some of the steps, right? Because look, and I'm asking this question very specifically because in the world of marketing, branding, and business, right, and a lot of our listeners, like they would love to learn from the inside scoop about like how businesses take that step, right? And so one of the things that we like to do is we'd like to learn from each other. Well, how are you doing it? Well, we're doing it like this. How are you doing it like that? And I'd love for someone to learn about some of your process. So, so like practically, like what does that mean? How are you engaging in your, with your audience base? How are you keeping them connected? How are you planning, utilizing the tools that you have in order to go from, point A to point B to point C?
Right. So I started organically. So
Okay,
organic marketing. I mean, I'm in groups, I'm contributing, I'm posting, my mini blog posts, I'll break them down to 4 paragraph stuff. I'll have my
sure.
long posts. I get everything from 4 paragraphs to 1,500 word blog posts, So I start sharing that. I start contributing a lot in groups. That's
Okay,
like number one, right? Because I'm creating the niche. I got to create authority, so I'll
sure.
throw stuff out. I'll offer my free ebook. I have a 31-page ebook. It's like the
Right.
condensed version of the book itself. I did a free book. You get my book for free, right?
Okay,
Sign up for the list. All right.
cool.
So they get on, they get a free book. You just pay for shipping.
Okay,
So it's $7.95. You get my book. So they go in the list. Great. They give me the name and email. That's all they got to put in. Pay the $7.95. That, of course, goes into an email campaign, a whole
sure.
drip campaign, which I then drive them to a webinar for my academy. So I'll get them on my podcast through those webinars. I'll get them on, again, they've already have the ebook, maybe they got the free book, whichever one they came through. It all directs them to other tools that they can get from me, and
Okay,
the value ladder, right? So I start giving them things they can get into. Hey, here's how to take $2,250 a month in paid leads and turn them into $127,000 in a month. Would
right.
you like that? Okay, that's only $47. Or do you want it for free as lead
Right.
magnets? So I create a lead magnets, right, to start drawing people in. Now,
Love it.
once they're in, okay, now they go on my webinar, which is killer. Okay,
Okay.
even though I made it myself, it's still really good. Okay, so so they get in that, and boom, they sign up for it's a no
Right.
brainer. They sign up for the academy. Then once they're in the academy, I have the Thinkific platform. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Okay.
They've got Udemy, and they got, or not Udemy,
Sure.
all the whatever the training platforms. There's so many, but
Hmm.
Thinkific is really cool because there's actually a live discussion panel as you're going through your program. So they
Yeah,
can type in there and it communicates with the coaches or me or whoever it might be.
I
So
love it.
now they're super engaged, asking, like almost basically real-time questions as they're working on their product, right?
Okay.
And from there, I tell them as they come in at one point in the webinar, I tell them, well, you wonder why the price is so low. I give the high value and then give them this price to get in monthly, to be in this. I said, because it's part of my evil master plan. I'm going to sell you a whole bunch more stuff. And I tell them straight up, I got masterminds, I got more paid training. So my whole idea is that's how you keep them engaged. You keep
Right.
bringing value. I have a bonus section that is like 10 times what the academy is. So they get
Right.
that too. And it's like, I mean, they have to stay because they can't get through all the material, right? I bring in live training. I bring in experts and they do live training. We record them in the video, put them in the vault. So I'm building just a library for people,
Right.
and there's always the next thing for them to do, always the next level to go to in their business. So I hook them with the 4 months. They get in, that's great, that's what they're obligated to. Then they go month to month after that. Okay.
Right.
And they stay because they're just getting so much stuff. And once we get back to meeting together for masterminds, I mean, virtual is okay, but nothing beats being in the same room with 10 other
Right.
people, 20 other people.
100%.
So,
No, for
yeah.
sure. I love that. I
Yeah.
think
So
that's
those are
great.
some of the processes, and again, the email stuff is a big deal. You just keep dumping. I just keep dumping value on them and
Yep.
giving them more things, and then I encourage them to bring their friends in, their other entrepreneurs. With social media, it's not like they're bringing in their competition.
Right.
The guy could be 10 states away. You know what I mean? So
Right.
that's how I continue to keep them, have them continue to contribute to the Richard Walsh
Right.
child raising fund. My kids. So it's all good.
No, I love that. Look, I'm a big believer in component of giving away content, right? And that like people always ask me like, well, if I give everything away, what additional value, like what can I sell after that? Firstly, when you give away value, okay, what you're really doing is you're building a commitment base of people that trust and respect your authority. Right. And you're establishing yourself as the person, as the go-to place, right, for value, right? That's a huge component, firstly, right off the bat, number one. But what ultimately ends up happening is that the sales source afterwards is me. In other words, all the value, all the content, right, everything that I'm happy to share with you, answer your questions, review with you, at whatever you need, that's great. But then if you want me specifically, right? If you want, okay, now you want to get under the hood a little bit with me, right? Or my company, whatever it is, right? Now that's going to cost, right? And so that's not, and so when people give away value, okay, it's not a mistake. You really should give away value because you're building authority, you're building commitment, you're building trust and transparency, and you're building a need for people to say, look, if what you're giving me for free is great, I can only imagine what working together will be like. And so I'm a big believer in helping people, but just honestly, in just pure honest, transparency here, I also just really want to help people succeed. Like I really just want to be a resource for businesses and for people to find success. And I want to do my part. Like this is, me personally, and I'm sure I know a lot of people share that value too, but I would, I really do want to be a part of people's success and help people. Life is not a competition in that regard. You know what I mean? Like it's not. And there's so much fish in the sea. There's so much opportunity. There's so much, there's plenty to go around. But the more that you give, and it really in an altruistic kind of way. But the more that you give, the more you're able to receive.
Yeah.
And you have, but it's a funny mindset because if you give only to get, you're never going to be as successful.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's so important. It's just totally on point there. It's exactly what it is. You have to. There's two things to that. First, like I said, I just get more and more like amped up and jacked just helping people do business, right? So the
Yeah.
more, if I'm able just to help them, you already see my energy level, right? I'm a little excitable here. We get talk about the stuff, but I do the same thing with the clients, right? And if I'm doing just a free coaching, I'm doing a training session for someone, it's just so much fun. But the other thing is going back to what you're saying about giving out all the free content. You know what those people think? That stuff is so good. Imagine what he's holding back,
Yeah.
right? And it's a layup sale.
Lit-
It's a
little do
layup.
they
It's
know,
just yeah,
little do they know, we're not holding anything back. We're just giving it all to you. You
right.
know?
But here's the thing: I can create faster than you can copy,
Kidding.
right?
Correct.
So I'll just tell them like I'm not running out of stuff. I
Correct.
haven't been doing this for 6 months. I've been doing it for 30 years. You know what I
Right.
mean? I've got a lot of time in the game, so I am never tapped out. Even when
Right.
I
That's
feel
awesome.
tapped out, I'll get on a podcast like this or something, and someone will just spark it. I'm like, whoop, the energy levels just go straight back up. I love it.
I love it. So without giving away your book, can you share with us some value tidbits that's important for people to know when they're
Yeah.
embarking on this entrepreneurship
I have
journey?
found over working with so many people, Aaron, that here's the number one thing. It's number two in my academy. The first one is the concept of creation. So you actually, if you can design the business from the ground up, or if you're in business or just starting, the second one, I think one of the most critical things to do, and it's what I did not do in my first 20 years, is exit strategy. All
Okay.
right. As Stephen Covey says, begin with the end in mind, right? Exit strategy is what you develop. Like we talked about before, what is the end? When you get out, is there a number? How much you want for the business? Are you going to hand it down? You're going to keep it? You're going to, how much passive income you're going to create to replace your business income? How are you going
Okay.
to do that? What's your investment vehicles? And it's a very extensive process. And what it becomes, what I've discovered, it's like the ultimate business filter.
Okay.
Every business decision you have to make, you have to run it through the exit strategy. Does it feed my exit strategy or does it detract from it? If it detracts from it, I got to say no, right? It keeps you so laser focused on your mission. Like me, it's 10,000 business owners. How am I going to get there? We talked about that. Yours might be, whatever the marketing number is. We got to build this. I'm going to help somebody build whatever it is, but you have to decide for yourself,
Right.
because everyone's going to have a different meaning of success and
Mhm.
what they want. I'll give you an example. I took a screenshot and I'll use it another time in one of my posts, but someone goes, I got a roofing business. He's been in business like 15 years, got 6,000 clients, blah, blah, all this stuff, 300 grand. I'm like, okay, you spent 15 years. You're telling me you got this. You are in one desperate situation. 300,000 is all you're going to get. You
Right.
make more of that in a year in a roofing business.
Right.
You're selling for three. I'm like, okay, I got screenshot, scratch off, and now I'm going to use this thing for sure. Because holy cow, if I got to work like that, and then
Right.
that's all I'm going to get. Okay, I'm not going to get into it. It's not, it's wrong. That's all I'm saying. It's wrong. Don't
Right.
work your life like that and end up with that because that's not getting you anywhere. So
Right.
that's why the exit strategy. That's my number one pointer. I think it's so powerful. When I talk to business owners, especially in the trades and service industry, none of them have it. None.
Right. But
No
let me see
clue.
a question. But let me see a question. What about this whole concept of if you go into business for an exit strategy, you're never going to give your business your all?
Yeah, that's a lie. Because here's the thing, right? You have a mission. Your mission, we all have a ceiling, right, Aaron? We
Okay.
all can only do so much, right? Our intellect is maybe only so much. But you can build something to last, like we talked about. But it
Right.
doesn't mean you have to be there for it, right?
Okay.
You might want to go on to other things. Also, if you haven't learned, depending on how long you've been in business, including 2020, if you haven't learned what can happen to businesses overnight, by
Right.
now, if you aren't building that exit strategy, you're going to get hit when you least expect it. You'll be at your worst point in your business. You'll end up with nothing. And I'm
Okay.
just talking from experience here. Okay.
When you
So,
wait, so when you say exit strategy, do you mean sustainability strategy? In other words, so like, you know what I mean? Like as like an exit strategy to me is I'm going in to get out, as opposed to I'm going in to create a momentum that will continue.
yeah, it's whatever you want to do. See, because
Okay.
we're all going to get out of business eventually. You may check out one night and just be done without any choice. But I'm just saying that, whatever it is, hey, if you want 20 years, 25, 30 years of doing this and you're setting huge goals, man, if you extrapolate out 30 years, you can have a pretty massive goal. Look what
Right.
Amazon has done in 25 years.
Right.
Okay. Now he could step out tomorrow if he wanted to.
Right.
And that business is going to continue. That legacy will continue. But you have
Right.
to understand that there will come an endpoint, either voluntarily or involuntarily. And
Right.
the whole idea of the exit strategy, what it does, again, wherever the year is, it gets you positioned properly, so that you'll be able to take advantage of maybe some market growth, because
Right.
you're banking this money, you're building that passive income, so you're not holding on to that business so tight because
Right.
you don't have additional income, right? So it
Right.
frees you up. So it's way bigger than it. I think I'm making it sound, but
For
when you
sure.
start to really think about its effect, and
Yeah.
again, and you can move the needle. You could say 10 years this, and all of a sudden you get at 8, and you're like, I am just loving this. Okay, I'm going out to 15, so you can change it. It's not set in
Right,
stone, right? So
right.
you change it, but you need that focus, you need that clarity.
No, for sure. Look, we say that, in other words, on a small scale, when we create marketing and branding strategies, we always have a benchmark that we're looking to achieve, right? If you don't know what success looks like, you never know when you hit it, right? Like I ask, for example, I'll ask a client or a business, and I'll say, how much do you want to sell to be, to feel good? And they're like, we want to sell a lot. I'm like,
Yeah, it's not a
then
number.
that's not a number. You're never going to get there. You will never be a happy camper without defining. I said, if you don't define what your goal is, and it could be a starting goal, I don't care, but if you don't define what your goal is that you're striving for, you're never going to be happy, and you're always going to think that your process is not working because you're never satisfied with the growth module that you're setting out for yourself, right? And that's on a small scale when you're talking about like marketing and branding campaigns. When you're building a business in that same capacity, if you don't know how to set standards of success, right, so that you can get there and you say, hey, I got here. This is my first level of success. I see it. It's tangible for me, right? You're never going to feel like you've made it. You're never going to feel like you're successful, because you're always going to be in that rat race. And so that
Well,
importance, the importance of setting that goal to know that you're hitting it is so important in your growth process.
you're totally right. Let me ask you, as a marketer, brander, doing all this stuff, if someone
Sure.
doesn't have that, they're going to think you're terrible.
Absolutely, you're right.
Okay, so you have to make them quantify what's
You
enough, what it make. Because I can tell you right now, again, I'm not a marketer, but
right?
man, if you as a marketer came to me and I said, hey, I want to hire you, we start talking, and you don't ask me what a specific goal is,
Yeah.
right? And I don't give you one. Okay, it's a disaster of a relationship.
100% it is. Look, we might have a great time chatting with each other. You know what I mean? But
Right.
like, I might know everything about you, what you like, what foods you eat, what your kids are up to. I might know everything about you, but you're going to be like, one day you're going to come in and be, hey, Aaron, our relationship is over. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? We get along so well. And he's like, and you'll be like, because we didn't sell anything,
No
or
results.
we didn't
Yeah.
do anything, and then at that point, if you can't turn around and say, no, what are you talking about? Of course we did. Let's go back. Let's see all the numbers, da, 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 da. At that point, it's so hard to quantify it, because when you don't, like, if at that point, it's just process. It's just process with no goal. And working for the sake of process with no goal, as you said, is a lost cause. You're never going to win. And so you're absolutely right. Look, one of the very first questions that I ask, a business is, okay, what's your goal? What are you working towards? At what point will you feel that first level of success? And then what can we do in order to hit that goal for you?
Yeah, you can't operate without that kind of clarity. Because like
Absolutely
you
not.
said, there's no victory.
Absolutely not.
There's no victory, and you'll just keep running in the same circle.
Correct. And
And you're not measuring things you don't know, and then you don't have anywhere for that money to go, even if you're making money.
correct.
So
And
it
in
all
business,
evaporates. It just goes
correct.
away.
And in business, you need victory, right? You do. You need victory, because you need to have those points that propel you to your next level. If your entire working career is only process with no feeling of success, you will burn out like crazy, and you will be done, and that's it. There's no going back.
Yep.
Business needs to have victories, and you need to celebrate them, you need to appreciate them, and you need to want them so bad, right? That that it's what brings you to the next level. And I don't care if you set a small victory success. I don't care if it's, hiring your next hire. I don't care if it's being able to order pizza to the office every week and not have to think about it. I don't care if it's, hitting a sales mark of your, of it, for your financial quarter. Okay. I don't care what it is. But if you don't set a victory that you could celebrate, you're not going to make it. Business needs victories.
Yeah, and I'll tell you that take it the next step too. So does your team. Right?
Correct.
Everyone who works for you, they need to see victory. They need to see accomplishments. They need to be praised for accomplishments, but they also need to understand that they're part of the mission.
Correct.
Right. And if you're not doing it, they're not doing it.
Right.
Right. So you don't have it's called lack of leadership. That's what that is. If you boil it down. So you got to be able to convey the message, the mission. Here's what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to do it. And you could have it on the whiteboard or whatever. Right. And they understand it. And you can check those bad boys off each week if you want. Right. That's what the people need to understand. That's how you build excitement to excel your brand, to get your message out, to sell product, service, whatever it is. You've got to get everyone on the team on the same mission, moving forward, no matter, like you said, however big or small it is, they need to see these accomplishments.
Absolutely. You are absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Richard, it is an absolute pleasure to have you on our show. Thank you so much for taking the time and for chatting with me. I learned so much from, hearing your story and understanding your process. It was absolutely fabulous. Thank you. If someone wants to get in touch with you, how do they find you?
EscapeTheOwnerPrison.com.
EscapeTheOwnerPrison.com.
Yep. That's the website. Find me on Facebook or whatever, but EscapeTheOwnerPrison.com, it's out there.
Amazing. Cool. Well, thank you again for coming up. I'd love to, make sure we get to continue this conversation together and, here's to a successful and happy rest of the year 2021.
I love it. Thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time to have me on. I love doing this.
Of course. My pleasure. Take care. And we're done. Hey, all right.
Awesome.
How was that?
That was great. I enjoyed it.
How'd it go? Good? Yeah, we did good.
I thought it was great. See, I like these conversations. They're more fun.
Right.
Have a good time.
Yeah, it's cool. Hey, I love your insight into how to understand, the mindset of the business owner, right? I love how your approach is so unique and specific. I think it's so important, right? But not only for you as a coach, but also for the people that you help. I bet you have tremendous success from that investment. No?
Yeah, it's like my book. I say I wrote the thing in 3 weeks, which I did. The whole thing start to finish 3 months, but it's 3 weeks and 30 years is what I mean to say. Because it's a lifetime of experience, and we all learn so good from our mistakes, right? Those if you're not making mistakes, well, you're not trying hard enough, or you're lying, one or the other. But I love to be able to share that. I love to compress time for people. That's what it's about. If I can save, I just was so thick and just stupid and unwilling to ask for help and take help. And, now you have the ability to get any coach you want in the world. That's the difference between now and 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
Yeah, but there's coaches and there's coaches. You know what I mean? There's coaches that are out there just to present, and then there's coaches that are out there who actually take time to invest. And and it's clear to me that you are the investment type. And I can only look. I never took your course. I don't. I can't. I don't know what it's like on the inside. But just from understanding, what you're doing and how you're doing it, I can only imagine that you're just crazy successful doing it, and your people are so happy to be part of it.
Yeah, it's a good. I like I say, it gives me great joy. I mean, it's the best way I can put it. I mean, it's true joy for me to be able to help people, just really escape the owner prison. I mean, it's a good title and it works, and it really sums up what I always tell people. Hey, I had 27 different title options.
Yeah.
And I chose the 28th. Okay.
How'd you choose this one? What was it about this title that you made you say that's the one I want?
Well, first I kind of, it resonated with me. I'm like, prison, that's what I was, because I understand. And then I was at a track meet, my kids, and a good friend of mine owns a manufacturing company. And we're chatting about it and stuff about titles. And I said, well, I got this new one. I go, it's Escape the Owner Prison. And he's looking at me and goes, that resonates. And I'm like, done. He goes, because a guy who was he's like, okay, I mean, it resonates with even guys who have, some pretty high level of success. They get it. So it's like, done. And then we did the whole cover. It was really cool. So, but that took more time than the whole book, just figuring out that
Right.
title, as it always
It
does.
always does. It's so hard picking a good title for for a book like that. There's a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure.
Yeah, 1 to 3 words and your subtitle and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
brother. And I mean, it was just, I started with Well-Oiled Machine. I thought it was really good. So it was like, well, it sounds too much like a mechanics book, and I'm like, okay, well,
Yeah.
I got, so I went through all these different things and but I'm glad I got the right one. I'm very
I
happy
was
with
gonna
it.
say, I bet it was harder for you to choose the title of your book than the names of your kids.
Yes. Yeah, yes, it was. It took a lot longer, and my kids have some cool names, but yeah, it took some
Yeah.
time. So we better not share that with my wife.
No problem. Are you doing a lot of podcasts
I
these
am.
days?
I've done 77 on my own now, as
Oh
with
wow,
guests. And majority of those have been 1 hour guests. It's been awesome. And I'm starting to do a lot of guest appearances now too. Starting to
that's
do more
great.
and more. So yeah, I really enjoy it. I really love it.
That's amazing.
That's another part of the process of getting the message out. So I'm trying
Right.
to ramp up the guest
That's
appearances.
great. Well, look, you should continue to have the strength and the ability to be successful. I think it's fabulous, and obviously, if there's anything that I can do to help, push and promote, it'd be my pleasure.
Love it. Yeah, this has been totally fun. I mean,
Great.
I love podcasts like this, Aaron. This is the way to do them. People all rigid with the questions. I'm like, oh, brother. This is a 10-minute podcast. I'm not interested. Okay. What are we doing in 10 minutes? 10 minutes, I'm just getting warmed up. Let's go. So let us go. But this was great. I really loved it. I appreciate you having
Good.
me on.
No, so much fun having you. I really appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time.
Absolutely,
So,
buddy.
all right, cool. Well, listen, have a great day. Thanks for checking in. Good luck with the sale of your book and your course. And as I said before, looking forward to seeing to continuing this conversation at some point,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
seeing how it goes from there. So
If you want to be on my podcast, let me know.
you're on. Let's do it. I'll
I'll
be on
do it.
your podcast.
I'll send you the booking link. Okay.
Great. Sounds
I'd love to
amazing.
have you on, talk about what you do. It'll be great.
I love talking about what I do.
Me too. See, we'll be good together. I like to what I do. You talk what you do. That's most of my guests do like talking about what they do. It comes in really handy. So.
Great. Awesome.
But I
All right.
will shoot you an email shortly with the booking link. Okay, and you find a time
You're
that
on.
works for you, and we'll get it done. All right.
Sounds amazing. Cool. Thanks so much.
All right.
I really
Keep me
appreciate it.
posted on everything. I appreciate it.
You're on. Have a great day. Thanks.
You too, buddy.